Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So something that I've been really excited to film recently, especially since school is about to roll around in a couple of months, and I figured there may be a lot of people who are making a transition into college as freshmen or people who just want some tips, and I'd be very happy to give that to you guys because I have a lot to say about college as a college student, and I feel like I've been through a lot in college. I'm a very credible source, okay? I feel like I'm authorized to give you this advice that you're going to see in this video. Okay, and obviously, it's important to remember that college experiences are what you make it, and they're very individualized as well. So if some people tell you college was the worst time of their life, like it's so difficult, you're going to fail, don't listen to that person. Make it your own experience. Even some of these tips are individualized and may not apply to everyone, but a lot of this is applicable to my own experience. It's what helped me get through college. It's what helped me get up to this point as a senior. It's what I feel like has worked the best and would help other people. So I'm going to split this into different categories. So the first category of advice that I have for you guys is general advice. And then the second category that I have for you guys is social advice. And then the third category that I have is educational advice. So first, for general advice, is to get a taser or get pepper spray. So on my channel before, in one of my what's in my purse videos before, I showed you guys my taser. It is very important to have some form of protection. I go to, I would say, a relatively safe college, knock on wood, but some people don't. And even if your college is the safest college in America, things can still happen. And especially as women, it is very important to protect ourselves. So definitely invest in a taser, definitely invest in some mace, even men as well. Like, it's important to protect yourself if you're alone, if it's nighttime, just anytime. It's definitely important to have that on hand if you absolutely have to be by yourself and if you're not traveling in groups. Next, do not room with someone you know. So I feel like this is more an individualized tip because obviously friendships are very different depending on who you're talking about and depending on the dynamic of your friendship. But I think this specifically and especially applies to friendships that have very different living styles. So if you're dealing with a friend that stays up all night and you are a very routinely based person, like you have a very tight schedule, you like to wake up at 8 a.m. every day. I could never, but there are some people like that. And you like to maybe play music in the morning, something like that. Those are polar opposite living styles. You know what I mean? And I know as an insomniac, I stay up until like 4 a.m. even during school when I have class in the morning. And that may be difficult for someone who is completely different to deal with. But everybody's not going to be willing to accommodate one another. And that's when it can be difficult when you are dealing with a friend. And just keep in mind, especially if you really value your friendship and you guys' dynamic and things like that, don't mess it up over college. Like, maybe you can room together in the same house, but just not the same dorm. Maybe you can room together in the same, maybe you can stay in the same building, but just not the same room. But it's really difficult when it's 2 beds in 1 room. It's a completely different experience. And a lot of times I think it's preferable to just be with someone that you don't know because it's a little bit easier. There's more at stake if you're rooming with someone that you do know, especially your best friend, and especially if you guys have different living styles. So just keep that in mind, and definitely make sure that you discuss a lot of boundaries before doing so if you do decide to room with a really close friend. Next, get some sleeping medication. As I said, this is for my insomniacs. College, you're gonna deal with a lot of wacky schedules at some point. You can manage your time as well as you possibly can, and sometimes you're still going to have to stay up because you're still going to have a lot of work to do, especially if you're taking more than 4 classes, 12 credits. You're going to have a lot of work to do. Okay, so sometimes you're going to have to stay up later, and sometimes that's going to mess up your schedule. And as someone who naturally has trouble going to sleep, melatonin vitamins are the best of the best. Okay, so make sure you get some of that, get some ZQuil, because you need your rest. That's most important. And sleeping medication, a lot of college students will tell you that has helped them, because it's definitely helped me throughout the semester. Next, take advantage of the free services that are offered to you in college. This is yoga services, this is the gym, this is mental health services. You do not have to pay, and that is very important because once we get out of school, we're gonna have to pay for gym memberships, we're gonna have to pay for yoga classes, we're gonna have to pay for cycling classes, pottery classes, art classes, whatever your school may offer, mental health services. We will have to pay for all of that once we're no longer in school. So it is so important to take advantage of it while it is free. Next and last for my general advice, seek tutoring. And this kind of goes into my educational, so I guess it doesn't really belong to general advice, but I'm gonna leave it here anyway. Definitely seek tutoring. Do not feel too proud to go get a tutor. It is another free service that you can get, so use it to the best of your ability. I took a quantitative statistics class, so I'm a sociology major with a concentration in crime, law, and the society. My quantitative statistics class, let me tell you, it kicked my butt. Like, if I did not seek tutoring, I literally would not have understood what was going on at all, and I would not have been able to pass. And because, especially if the class is like 50 minutes, especially if it's a lot of students, a lot of professors teach as if you already know what they're talking about. They teach as if they're already an expertise in their field, which they are, but they teach you as if you're an expertise in their field, and they expect you to just understand stuff right away. But if you don't seek help, you're not going to get it, because they don't get paid based off of if all their students pass their classes, like how it is in high school when the teachers, you know, get in trouble if all their students don't pass. Like, it's a problem. There's quotas to fulfill and things like that. In college, professors obviously get paid either way. So they're not going to dedicate all their time to whether you understand or not. They're just going to teach what they can, and if you don't get it, essentially it's not really their problem. So absolutely seek tutoring. I am the person to tell you, I have never struggled academically at all until I took my quantitative statistics class, and I got a tutor, and it made so much more sense for me. So I was so grateful to her, and I was so grateful that that was offered at my school. So that's, once again, another free service that you can take advantage of while you're in college. And yeah, I say do it. Do not ever doubt yourself and think that you are too good for tutoring, or don't let your pride get in the way. Don't let shame get in the way. That is what they're there for. And sometimes if someone your own age is just teaching something to you, I feel like, or someone a little bit older than you maybe, or just someone who's not a professor, it makes it a little bit easier to understand. So yeah, seek a tutor. Next, so we're gonna get into social advice. Socialize. Okay, this is one of the best advice tips I feel like I can give you. Even if you're more of an introverted person, which I am, I came to college with a lot of people in my area already going to my school, so I didn't have to really work overtime to socialize, I feel like, but I definitely think that's important. College is one of the easiest places to make friends ever in your life. I promise you. It's no longer catty high school groups. It's no longer people who are super judgmental or immature. Like, it will be easy to just literally go to the dining hall. You can make a friend just that fast. Go to the gym. You can make a friend just that fast. So make sure that you do that. Also, volunteer in organizations. This is very important as well, especially if it's an organization that is dedicated to something that you love to do, or an identity that applies to you, whether it be your race, your gender, your sexuality, your disability. You know, colleges have organizations that are tailored towards anybody and everybody. So definitely make sure that you involve yourself in that. You'll find a lot of people that have a lot of similarities with you, a lot of interests that are similar to you, depending on which organization you join. And I just feel like it's very important. You can definitely find friends that way. Next, make sure that you participate in freshman orientation. As the class of 2020, when I came into school as a freshman, because of COVID, my class cohort did not get to do freshman orientation. I know it sucks, and I feel like it's mandatory for a lot of schools for kids to do that, or for young adults to do that. But I feel like at this point, definitely soak it up and take advantage of it, because a lot of people I know that were able to participate in freshman orientation, that's how they met a lot of their friends. So make sure that you take as much as you can from that experience and meet as many people as you can. And last but not least, join GroupMes, okay? This, I feel like, is an easy way, if not to technically make friends, it's definitely an easy way to just get a lot of information. So I know my school was very well-rounded when it comes to like GroupMe. So anything and everything has a GroupMe, and I'm sure every college does that, but make sure that you join them. Don't be a stranger. Join them. You can learn a lot of information that way about your class cohort, and it's just easier, because if you're not that introverted, or if you're not scary, If you have a question, you can also ask that in the GroupMe and hope that someone answers. I've asked a question in a group chat before and nobody answered because I was asking for a specific book to see if anyone had it. And I felt kind of stupid, but like at the end of the day, who cares? Because someone's gonna ask a question right after you and then someone may not answer. So you're not gonna be the only one. But great way to disperse information, trust me. Next, educational. Get to your classes 10 to 20 minutes early. This is for my social anxiety folks. I'm trying to make this as inclusive as possible. This is easier so that you don't have to walk in front of everybody and find your seat, or so that you don't have to squeeze between a lot of people. I know I used to hate doing that. And once I became a junior, I just started being late for a lot of classes because it was just unavoidable. I'm sorry, especially my morning classes because it's very hard for me to get up in the morning. But when you first get there, especially, or when your classes first start, it's easier because a lot of people form, like, I feel like, I don't know if this is a general college thing, but I feel like a lot of people have like designated seats in college classes. So a lot of people will relatively sit in the same areas and that doesn't really change. So make sure that you get there in advance so that you can find your seat and so that you don't have to walk in front of a bunch of people, so that you don't have to feel awkward. Sometimes professors, depending on who you are, hate when their students are late, especially if it's like a Socratic based class and especially if it's smaller. So make sure that you get there on time just so you can avoid that and just so you don't have to walk in by yourself. Next, only skip lecture classes. I cannot stress this enough. My personal experience, my professor tried to give me a D just solely based off of me not coming to class. He didn't. I was able to bump that grade up, but still, like, depending on the course, it is not as easy to skip college classes as it may seem. So make sure, especially as I say, if the class is smaller and if it is a Socratic based class, meaning it's discussion based and you mainly just talk and converse versus reading lecture slides, they do notice if you're not there. So definitely don't make it a habitual thing. If you need a mental health day, if you need to skip, if you just don't feel like going, if you'd rather prioritize something else at that time, but you still keep up with your work, that's one thing. But don't skip an entire semester, because I know some people who have done that and it has not worked out in their favor. They definitely can drop your grade based off of your attendance. So just make sure that you don't skip all of your classes as a whole. Only make that a habitual thing if it's a lecture class where it's too many students for them to tell. Next, with your class and course readings, make sure that you skim them, because a lot of times, especially if you have a full schedule, you're not going to be able to read every single page. And this is more so for like English majors, sociology majors, people that have to read a lot. Make sure that you read the intro and conclusion first, and then for each paragraph, read the first and last sentence so that you can get the gist of what's being said. Because that is actually a law school tip that one of my professors told me, and I think it makes perfect sense. I've done it before and I was able to get the gist of what the readings were saying, and it's easier to do it that way. And also, if you do have Socratic based classes, make sure that you come prepared with a lot of talking points so that if you are called on, you don't look stupid. And also, if you have professors that like to cold call people like how they do in law school, make sure that you raise your hand first so that your professor is not just calling you out of nowhere. Because I had a professor that would do that. She would ask questions, or she would call people to answer certain questions, and it literally, like, you panic. You know, I know me, I wasn't big with public speaking. I'll still do it because it's a huge part of my major, but I was like, dang, like, she's just calling on me out of nowhere. And it would kind of throw me off a bit. So if you come prepared with talking points based off of your readings or based off of whatever you were told to research for the day, whatever, then she won't just randomly, or he won't just randomly call on you out of nowhere, if that makes sense. Like, you will be prepared. You will come to the discussion prepared. It's less likely that they will catch you off guard that way because, you know, you already have your talking points. Next, use previous work or essays for more than one class. This mainly applies to majors like mine. If you have to write a lot of papers, you can definitely double dip, because a lot of my class and course materials have been very similar as far as what we talked about. And so I was definitely able to double dip. Like, I know with mass incarceration, that was a very consistent topic throughout a lot of my sociology classes. So I was able to use over and over and over again certain paragraphs and parts of essays that I previously used. Do not double dip with an entire essay. That's not what I'm telling you to do, okay? Do not take an entire essay and submit that once one semester and submit it again for another semester, because it may pop up that you're like essentially plagiarizing another student's work even though it's your own, and that's not really going to work out. But you can still use similar information if your course, you know, subjects are similar. Next, Jargon Extension, and ArcGIS. ArcGIS, everybody knows about ArcGIS. It is a very, very, very resourceful and helpful site, but make sure that you are not plagiarizing. Make sure that you are not using it word for word, because a lot of teachers run it through their system and you will get in trouble for that, depending on how serious your professor is about the educational honor code. So make sure that you don't copy word for word. But if you need help thinking of like a title of a paper, if you need help with math, statistics, how to do something, it was my holy grail for my statistics class. So just make sure that you don't copy word for word, and make sure that you use it wisely. Make sure that you use it as a guide versus how to completely do your homework or your projects or whatever, because that's not going to work out, but it is still very helpful. Something else is called Jargon Extension, and with this is for more complex text that you're reading during class. You can take like a paragraph of Communist Manifesto, for instance, if you are familiar with that word, and you can translate it into a simpler form of English so that it's way easier to understand. And so, you know, I suggest this. You would need this even if it's not a writing major, even if you're just reading something about your major and you literally don't understand what's going on. Jargon Extension is an amazing app that will help you out with that and will simplify whatever you're reading and put it in plain words so that it's easier to, you know, digest, understand, read, all of that. Last but not least, try and build relationships with your professors. This is very, 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 very important for your future jobs, for your future internships. Build an individualized relationship with your professors. Go to their office hours, talk to them, and press them. Do everything you can so that they can write you beautiful recommendation letters, because you should definitely, I feel like it's a difference once you get into college, and this is my last tip. I feel like it's a difference once you get into college because you're dealing with professors that have like PhDs, you're dealing with professors that have their masters, you're dealing with professors that are writing some of the books that you're reading. You're dealing with professors that have done a lot of very impressive things. And so that respect and desire to have a relationship with them honestly should come naturally. I know within my major, I knew a professor that had her doctorate, her Juris Doctorate, and her regular doctorate. So she was able to be a part of the law field and the medical field. And I just thought that was incredibly impressive. And you're gonna meet a lot of people who, if you're dealing with professors in your major, are doing what you wanna do. They're where you want to be later on in life. And so that's why it's very important to talk to them, to build a relationship so that you can contact them later on for job opportunities, internship opportunities, contact them for recommendation letters, and they will absolutely remember you. Because the more individualized, and I've overused that word so much throughout this video, but the more specific to you that a recommendation letter is, the better that it will help you out. So if you ask a random professor where you just went to their class and did what you're supposed to, but they don't really know you, like the recommendation letter isn't gonna be that bomb. They're just gonna say like, oh, this student was academically great, this student was a hard worker, da 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 da. But it's not going to be that specific to you and your character. And so it's not going to be as great of a recommendation letter as a professor that has spent a lot of time with you, gotten to know you, gotten to know your values, gotten to know your goals, motivations, aspirations. That will always be higher than and more important than a professor who doesn't really know you that well, if that makes sense. So definitely that is one of the most important tips I would say in college and in this video period. Build a relationship with your professors. It is crazy, crazy, crazy important. So that is it for this video, guys. I'd be very happy to make a part 2 because there are a lot of tips that I've excluded from this video because I didn't want it to be too long. But I think at this point, almost finishing college, I'm an expertise with college tips. So if you want a part 2, definitely let me know and I would be amazed to make another video. Let me know what other videos you guys want to see from me as well. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. If you like the college graduation type of vibe that I'm trying to integrate into this channel as well, let me know. If you just want reaction videos, that's fine as well. I like to do a little things that I enjoy putting on my channel as well, not just one thing, even though that's ideally what YouTube looks for. But I just wanted to help out all of my students that are going to college, all of my amazing scholars that are going to college for the first time or going back for another semester and they just want some tips. I am definitely giving you the leg up. I'm giving you the key to having an amazing semester. And if you want any more tips, like I said, just let me know. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Tell everybody that you can about me. And if you have any questions about college or the specific college that I attend, William & Mary, make sure that you DM me at SkyAlicia with 2 A's, and that will be in the description box. But I really appreciate you guys for watching this video and for tuning into my channel, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.